Ladies and gentlemen, what have I been telling you about Twitter? It could be the best company in the world. I could be wrong, but what have I been telling you about Twitter? It is on the ropes. Now, the stock price has gone up. So what? Enron had surges in stock valuation. So who cares? Tech CEO says Twitter to go all in on subscriptions. Why would that... Why? Okay, this is Market Watch today, or a couple hours back. Tech CEO says Twitter needs to go all in on subscriptions. Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey recently said the company is considering implementing subscriptions and other forms of payment. Did Facebook have to do this? Did Instagram have to do this? So, why do you think Twitter has to go from a free platform that grows just based on the merits of, its cyberspace, the utility you derive from being in some kind of cyber reality. So people would go on Twitter because they think it's the digital commons. And now they banned President Trump, which is the absolute best thing for President Trump. The best thing possible. Because we see New York's governor is being investigated. We have the Lincoln Project, the immoral Lincoln Project imploding. They served as the moral foundation against Trump. They're the most immoral people engaged in the most despicable activity. And that was even before all the skeletons came out of the closet. Why would you want to gravitate towards the Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld era foreign policy hawks? That makes no sense at all. But anyway, who've been wrong about everything. And when they're wrong, lives around the world, countless number of lives, are ruined. But anyway, you have a deputy press secretary resigning. You have President Biden presiding over a really fractured Democratic Party. You'd think that they just won. They should be, enjoying the fruits of their, victory, and they're pretty much crumbling before our very eyes with all of these, really serious controversies that the Washington Post, New York Times aren't really talking about. They're not really going after New York's governor. They're not really going after the Lincoln Project in the manner they would anyone associated with President Trump for doing, just New York's governor and the Lincoln Project alone are much more serious scandals and controversies than anything that took place in the 4 years with Trump. But here, you've alienated 74 million Americans. I've been telling you for a long time that Twitter is on the ropes. The stock price went up only because it beat Wall Street estimates. So what? Their debt is growing faster than their revenue growth, and they have $3 billion in debt. And they had several quarters last year that were not profitable. And now they're looking for subscriptions. Hit subscribe to this channel, by the way. We're on our way back to 200,000 subscribers. This is a story that nobody's talking about. I'm literally the only person on YouTube explaining that Twitter is really on the ropes. And you have to look beyond a stock price does not tell you what's really going on with a company. Enron is just one of millions of examples. But here, when a free platform goes to subscription or tries to find other forms of revenue, that means its user growth is either plummeting or not growing fast enough to address the growing debt and everything else it's dealing with. So let me read you this. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. Be here tonight at around 8 p.m. Pacific. I have a live stream every evening at around 8 p.m. Pacific. Go to hagoodman.com right now if you want to read my writing in The Hill, The Huffington Post Salon, The Federalist, The Jerusalem Post, The Daily Caller, other publications. And you can see my debates there. Ladies and gentlemen, let me read you this. To my new Patreons, thank you. If you want to support my voice long term, it is really important. Thank you so very, very much. Twitter's days as a completely free platform could be ending. Listen to this. Did you ever think this would happen? Even I never thought. I haven't had Twitter for 2 years. I'm passionate about this issue. I told everyone. I'm like 2 years ahead of everything. 3 years now. It's going on 3 years. I told everyone, delete your Twitter account. There's no point to it. I told everyone this. And a lot of a lot of my wonderful subscribers, they said, yeah, HA, I deleted my account when you deleted your account. And there's no point to it. It's a cyber reality. It's a boiling pot of discontent. It's a cyber cauldron of angst and frustration and cyberbullying and people breaking the law. Like I have a Twitter impersonator breaking the law. And you have people hiding behind fake profiles simply to disparage and demean others. Every discussion, whether it's about politics or sports, descends into madness and chaos within the form of a Twitter argument. And in terms of politics, Trump was the only reason that millions upon millions of people even looked at Twitter. And you don't even need to. That's why they're going on a subscription-based platform, because you don't even need to. Like right now, you don't need to be subscribed. You don't need to be on Twitter to see what everyone on Twitter is saying. Maybe not all the different replies, but you can pretty much see what they're saying. That's why, if I comment on something somebody is saying on Twitter pertaining to politics, I don't need to be on that platform. That's the thing. With Facebook, it's a little bit different. You have to actually be on that platform. You pretty much have to be on that platform. Twitter is not that case. That's not the case with Twitter. And you derive no value from it at all. It's a waste of life. Our time on this planet is limited. And, you should probably focus on every breath, every day, every moment, and not waste time in a world that will be completely obsolete and irrelevant years from now, maybe sooner. Nobody's going to care what you wrote or what anyone wrote about you or what any politician wrote on Twitter 10 years from now, 5 years from now, even 4 years from now. It's going to be a fleeting thought, just like the fleeting thoughts on the platform. But here, Twitter's days as a completely free platform could be ending. Did you ever hear that? That's an admission of defeat. You can't... The whole point is that it's supposed to be this digital commons that everybody wants to go and everybody wants to be on to discuss and debate and, have their voice heard. But what happens is the stupidest statements and sentiments and the most illogical and irrational tweets get retweeted and take on a life of their own. But here, according to comments made by CEO Jack Dorsey, who's, by the way, being sued by shareholders, at the virtual Goldman Sachs Technology and Internet Conference on February 10, 2021, subscriptions and other forms of payment could be coming to Twitter. Quote, the first thing we want to focus on is that economic incentive to people who are contributing to Twitter. Well, that's going to tank the platform even further. When you give economic incentive for people already say outlandish things on Twitter, mainly a great many on the left. They are never held accountable for any of the, horrendous things they say. If a conservative says something even mildly controversial, it's, oh my God, birdwatch, caution, 25 disclaimers, you don't want to listen to this, you don't want to listen to this, And so there's, of course, a double standard there. But why would you, when you give an economic incentive to people, they're going to be even more unhinged. Because they're going to want those retweets. If you live your life to want retweets, you're not engaging in any logical or rational discourse. You're just trying to provoke people. You're just trying to provoke people. But here, Dorsey, who was also a CEO in digital payments company Square, said at the conference, quote, that can come through a regular subscription, that can come through content unlock, that can come through tipping. Why would you... Tipping for a tweet? There is a host of things, and right now we are just studying and prioritizing what those things look like. So when they study, look, He's a billionaire. He doesn't care. Okay? That platform, that cyber world, has brought to humanity more negativity than any other platform, Facebook, Instagram, anything else. There has been more elevated blood pressure, stress, unhappiness, depression. I mean, you've had people who've immediately lost their lives, taken their lives because of an interaction on Twitter, and that's I'm not gonna. I'm not saying, look, it's not Twitter's fault, but there's a correlation between at least one I can think of. Where, anyway, not Twitter's fault, legal disclaimer, but there is a story that I know. You can look up stories, but the cyberbullying is nonstop on Twitter, and it happens in politics, and it happens mainly the left going after the left. So it's like, and think about it. I always talk about this. What's the Democratic Party without Twitter? It ceases to exist, really, in its current form, because you have AOC and Bernie Sanders telling not millions, but I guess thousands upon thousands of accounts on the left. There really aren't that many. When you think about it, there aren't that many people on Twitter that actually use the service. So they might say, we have hundreds of millions. In reality, it's a tiny fraction. It's probably a lot smaller than they say, the monetizable daily users. But you have Bernie Sanders and Twitter funneling all the angst and hopes and dreams of the left into the Democratic Party. So the Democratic Party uses that platform to just foment and spew and really as a tool, a propaganda tool. But here, the company has already begun making moves in the subscription world. In January, Twitter acquired newsletter service Review, which allows creators to get payment directly from their Twitter audience. Why would you? This is going to be the end of that platform. Could you imagine AOC monetizing Twitter? And there's still no Medicare for all or Green New Deal legislation, but she's making millions from it or whatever. You wouldn't make millions, but at least tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. Review takes about 5% fee for a paid newsletter. Something Twitter should make subscriptions a major component of their business plan, including, CEO of a company that provides billing subscription services. Yeah, so do I. It'll expedite the end of that really horrendous platform. There's Twitter right now. Bottom line, the thing's going to tank eventually. And the influence that this platform has in American politics and society is far greater than it ever should have acquired. Something Twitter should make subscriptions a major component of the business plan. Good. It'll expedite the tanking of that company. The top voices on Twitter end up driving orders of magnitude more traffic engagement than the rank and file. Yeah, you don't need to be an expert. Well, then, could you imagine how much money President Trump would have made if this was a subscription based, or you get a commission? So the most outlandish, provocative, absurd, emotional tweets will get the most commission. Great. As if we don't have enough extreme rhetoric and hyperbole in this world. Oftentimes coming from the left. When you have a product like that with such vast reach, with so many pockets of interest groups that create the peaks and valleys that is far and wide, you have the ability to stratify your sources of revenue. And not really. Who's going to pay? What kind of human being is your life so pathetic and unhappy and uneventful that you have to pay to be on Twitter? Generally you don't pay to be disparaged or demeaned. Some people do. Some people like it. But why would you actually spend money, your hard-earned money, on going on a cyber platform that is built for fleeting negative thoughts? Negative fleeting thoughts. When you give humanity a platform to just vent, human beings, I think, have a tremendous amount of goodness. But if you put a whole bunch of people together, inevitably there's going to be negativity. A lot of negativity, unfortunately. Because that's just unfortunately the way it is. And Twitter is a forum to not only vent negativity, to actually foment and create and fabricate it. So now people are getting paid to do so. Wow, that's fantastic. Getting a cited positive investor reaction from companies like Petco. Petco, what? Why would you? Positive investor reaction, meaning the corporate world will just go along with anything, okay? Advertisers will just go along with anything. Except if it's like a conservative company, then forget that. One of the payment features that Twitter's Dorsey mentioned recently was tipping. Something that, okay, there's absolutely room for membership-based access to premium content. What? Premium content? This isn't even Netflix. Do you enjoy yourself on Twitter? Who goes on Twitter and enjoys themselves? Only people on the left or Democrats. Actually, it's not even the far left. I used to have, close to 30,000 subs. And I can tell you, the most heat and the most unhappiness and all the arguments and all, the horrible interactions took place from other leftists. I used to be on the left, and I now support President Trump, but I don't consider myself left or right, Republican or Democrat. I don't. I was a lifelong liberal Democrat, but now I look at things. I don't have an allegiance to any political party, but President Trump was a great president in terms of accomplishments. His Twitter profile did him in politically. But, Abraham Accords, first president to step foot in North Korea. We had record low unemployment throughout most of his tenure. The pandemic was not his fault. Look at New York. New York's governor. God bless the people of New York and New Jersey. Look at Phil Murphy. Look at Cuomo. What they did is mismanaged their states, and Democratic-run states have been completely mismanaged. They have the highest unemployment rates. The top 11 or 12 states in terms of highest unemployment are all Democrat. How on earth is that Trump's fault? But here, and the states with the lowest unemployment rates are Republican states. So there's absolutely room for membership-based access to premium content. What? Premium content? And tipping is a nice degree of freedom off of that. This is how they justify. These are the smartest people in the room. This is the Enron smartest people in the room mentality. Look, you have to understand something. They're built the people who started these companies are millionaires and in some cases billionaires. Okay. They don't really care if the company tanks or they just want to keep it propped up. If the stock price is going up, who cares? What does it matter? It's still relevant in this day and age, but it goes to subscription based. You're going to see people. It's not going to whatever appeal that it still has left. That it's still holding on to barely will evaporate. This Twitter is a subscription based service that you're basically admitting that the company's going to tank, and mainly it's because of Trump, which is fantastic. Another thing Trump saved us from, including Clinton. Recurly, which provides billing services for large. So all these companies that would benefit financially are like, yeah, great idea. A social media giant posted revenues. Yeah, and their debt also increased. Twitter gained, and their user growth didn't grow fast enough, which was a huge issue. The biggest problem Twitter faces is that its user growth isn't growing fast enough. Now they want subscription-based services because they cannot derive the revenue they need to deal with their user growth, stagnant or slowed user growth, and increased debt. So it is it's the worst. You can go it's not just me. Every YouTuber, there's not every political YouTuber can't stand Twitter, and that's even a great many liberal Democrats are saying the same thing. Okay, not just people who voted for President Trump like myself. So, it is the worst place. It's a place where the Lincoln Project can gain. It's a place where AOC and the Lincoln Project, where democratic socialists and neoconservatives from the Bush era can create a wonderful alliance of logic and reason. It's the worst platform of all time. Like, I think back and I miss the days, and I guess they weren't that long ago, where you could have a debate without descending into like this cyber madness, which is what Twitter is all about. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe to this channel. Be here at around 8 p.m. tonight. About 8 p.m. tonight for the live stream. Thanks everybody. To my new Patreons, if you want to support to people who want to support my voice, thank you so very much. And to my new Patreons, thank you.